If you haven't heard of Bully Hunters by now, you're probably not the type to read much gaming news or even browse gaming YouTube channels. It's been tirelessly covered, mocked, and is officially meme status at this point, and it reached that level in record time. Absolutely one of the fastest plane crashes we've ever seen in the gaming world. We're not going to recap Bully Hunters, and this isn't another hit piece on the absolute calamity of the event. If you already know everything about Bully Hunters, please feel free to skip ahead, and if you don't, I'm going to give you a very quick rundown. Bully Hunters was a marketing stunt by FCB Chicago, who then partnered up with three product companies: SteelSeries, CyberPower PC, and Vertigear, and two diversity-oriented organizations, the National Organization for Women and the Diverse Gaming Coalition, in order to bring awareness to sexual harassment in video games, specifically multiplayer video games and more specifically in Counter-Strike. The idea as presented is that female gamers who were being sexually bullied by others in their games would call on a hunter who would join the game, kill the offending player, and then tell them that bullying is not a game. It was a complete failure for a few reasons, not the least of which is that it was completely staged. All the male abusers were the same person. The gamer being abused and the hunter who joined were also the same person. Live bully hunts, clearly showing them cutting to pre-rendered footage. The fact that the game itself doesn't even work the way that they showed. That the version of the game they were playing was clearly modified, and so many more problems. Anyone who plays CSGO would watch a few seconds of any one of the so-called hunts and immediately see so many problems that suspension of disbelief is impossible. Not the least of which is the fact that you can't actually verbally abuse the other team. Valve took that ability out because of issues like this something like 2.5 years ago. If you really want to know more, there are literally hundreds of videos and articles that run the gamut from sentence-by-sentence teardowns of the commentators, their statistics and the inaccuracies in the videos themselves, to quick roundups and even continuously running update threads about the entire fiasco. I think it's fair to say that Bully Hunters, which I'll just call Hunters from now on because the name is as much a crime as anything, was a poorly thought out, poorly implemented, poorly executed disaster. However, Hunters has a single redeeming quality. It's incidental. I don't think they intended it in the slightest, but it is something that we can take out of this entire thing and actually run with it. That is, sexual harassment does occur in our favorite pastime, and it shouldn't. We are in an era of incredible gaming growth and prosperity. There are games for anyone. Anything you want to play exists, and you can do it on the go or in your house with friends, with bots, alone, or even games that you yourself are only a single vote towards the actions of the actual gameplay. If you can't find a game that hits 95% of what you're looking for, then you're probably a game designer and you're currently building that game. And yet women do experience serious harassment in our hobby, and we don't look at it very seriously. In VR games like VR Chat and Rec Room, they've had to introduce personal bubbles, because otherwise some women would in fact experience virtual harassment, with a famous story of a woman being virtually groped. Beyond any personal feelings about that, I don't actually think that me being groped in a virtual reality is all that big of a deal. The problem is that it made someone seriously uncomfortable because she asked him to stop and he didn't. This unwillingness to respect others' boundaries, even if they are seemingly inconsequential to you, is really where the problem stems from. This, as you might have realized yourself, is why we have mute buttons, the ability to block other players. In many VR games, the ability to make other players invisible or have personal bubbles. Or in a lot of child-friendly games, the inability to communicate outside of predetermined messages at all. The fact is that a developer has to assume that there will be at least one occasion where one player will attempt to make another player uncomfortable in some way, outside the norms of trash talking. Whether that is sexual in nature or if it's simply blasting bad tin whistle music as loudly as possible, people on the internet are, by the nature of anonymity, willing and motivated to cause mayhem for the lulz. Now, I don't think that most of these internet trolls are doing it to be knowingly harmful. In the same way that the people who say the N-word semi-religiously or who use homosexual slurs in every other sentence are not knowingly doing this to be hurtful to any one community. The fact that it often is hurtful is a side effect, normally tossed aside with accusations of thin skin. Certainly there are those who are actively trying to get a rise, but even then it's more about entertainment than it is causing actual harm. In the same vein, I don't believe most of these abusive players would say these things if the girl they were playing with was their friend, or if the girl was on their team and contributing. I think it is purely finding a chink in the armor of the enemy team and exploiting that in a manner that is repulsive, but again, without meaning to do harm. That is not to say that it is in any way acceptable. I should clarify at this point that I find it personally repugnant, and I never engage in that type of banter. It's not acceptable to me personally. And this kind of self-policing and making it very clear in my personal circles and community, including the community that has built itself around this YouTube and Twitch channel, is the reason why I don't see this kind of harassment. I run a weekly CSGO game, of which a regular and sometimes majority percentage of players are female. At no point would I ever allow any of them to be personally targeted, harassed, or insulted. At no point would I stand by and witness my teammates, my friends, my viewers, my subscribers, or even first-time visitors being sexually harassed. This sense of boundaries obviously cannot extend outside of my personal sphere, but I believe wholeheartedly that my influence does. When I say to my community that isn't acceptable, I absolutely believe that they will continue to say that is not acceptable outside of my community, at least more times than not. And this is where the solution really lies, I believe. We, as gamers, making it clear that it is not acceptable in our circles. Again, a majority of these are internet trolls who don't know that they cause any real harm. These are the same men who would, if you asked them if they would stop a man from hitting his girlfriend, would say yes, of course. So if you point out that they are hitting someone else's girlfriend for them, they might just take that to heart and stop. You are their friend, you are telling them it is not right. This is literally how societal norms come about. People stand up and make things stop. The problem with hunters is that it is taking a serious problem that exists, and a problem that is hard to fight, and made a mockery of it. At this point, this video becomes another video about that viral thing. Anytime someone brings up sexual harassment in video games, in the industry, or in our gaming culture, we're going to have to fight through the fact that hunters existed. That it made this serious issue a meme, something worth no more than a funny hashtag. It has, in an ultimate irony, made it easier to dismiss complaints of sexual harassment in gaming. I don't have an answer for how something as wide-ranging as harassment in gaming can possibly be countered. I know that I can only do what little I can do, and I attempt to do that. I fail miserably and often, but I believe that anyone in my community, regardless of gender, would openly admit that I do attempt to do my best, because fairness is a core part of gaming. Everyone is equal and judged only by performance. I believe I follow that. I am hesitantly interested in your opinions on this matter. I would request that not every comment be about the Hunters campaign, because quite frankly, they've gotten more attention than they ever deserve. So let me know what you think. As always, if you like this video, please leave a like and share it. And if you didn't, then don't do either of those. But if you did, you can watch another video in the corner right now. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.